Located in southwest Los Angeles County, Compton is nicknamed the Hub City, given its access to 4 major freeways connecting people to all cities in Los Angeles. Well known for its hip-hop and gangsta rap era and music created by talented artists, Compton history encompasses countless stories of perseverance and community. Let's explore! Designed by prolific Black architect Harold L. Williams, Compton City Hall and Civic Center are an iconic focal point of the city that were created as a space for civic and political engagement, and they still serve that same purpose today. The plaza features a sculpture resembling a mountain as a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, "I've been to the mountaintop." Next to City Hall is Heritage House, one of the historic homes in Compton. Take flight at the oldest operating airport in the LA area. At Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum, discover Black aviation history and step inside historic aircraft. Young residents who learn to fly here have broken many flying records. See cool architecture at Compton Post Office and Angelus Abbey Memorial Park. Rest at a park, or two. East Rancho Dominguez Park is where Serena and Venus Williams learned to play tennis with their father. Try something delicious at Tam's Burgers or Miracle Market, which has been providing residents with tasty soul food and barbecue items since the 1960s. Chicken hot links are popular. Public art illustrating the stories of people and places in Compton can be found all over. Be sure to check it out. The land that Compton is on today was once Tonga Gabrielino Village and later became Rancho San Pedro, a part of the first land grant in California. Dominguez Rancho Adobe, which is closest to Compton, is still standing today. Ricardo P. Reyes, local historian and educator, tells us how the land from Rancho San Pedro and Dominguez Rancho Adobe transformed into the city of Compton.
Most of the land had been in the hands of a few Dominguez family members, and occasionally some of them would not be able to pay their bills, the taxes, for a variety of reasons. And so the parcels that now constitute Compton went up for auction, and that's where Compton, the name from a gentleman, a religious leader of a group, moved from mid-central California after they came from, I think, somewhere in the Midwest. And they settled in this area after winning the auction and had the city incorporated. And that would basically be the now northern eastern corner of the Dominguez Rancho, or the Rancho San Pedro. And it would extend from Rosecrans, south of it, and north, the little portions, into basically within the 4 freeways. Not entirely, but a large segment.
Griffith Dickinson Compson, who the city is named after, was one of the founders of Compton. The city was incorporated in 1888 and has seen many changes since then, including the destruction from the 1933 earthquake and frequent flooding from the nearby LA River. Camille Elston, who grew up in Compton and researched the city's layered history, shares how Compton and its community shifted in the 1950s and 60s.
The demographics of Compton today do not reflect the demographics of Compton when it was first founded. When Compton was first founded, it was a primarily white town. There were some Latinx folks, but they were not included in the census, or if they were included in the census, they were included as white people, and they were really sequestered in one very small area that people don't really even talk about. There's not a lot of documentation of where they were or what they did other than working on land for white farmers. So the demographics of Compton started shifting in the 50s and the 60s when housing laws went into effect that banned the practice of redlining and putting into covenants that you cannot sell your houses to people of color. Usually when they said people of color, they meant Black people. They usually very specifically said Black people. It could also include Latinx, Asian, especially Chinese, and Jewish people. And so that started getting outlawed. And real estate agents of all people saw the opportunity in that.
As more Black residents moved to the area, they created opportunities that would help them succeed. Douglas Dollarhide became the first Black mayor of Compton in 1969 after serving as the first Black city councilman for several years. In 1965, an uprising in the neighboring city of Watts following the unjust police treatment for Black residents further impacted Compton residents and the resources that were needed.
What happened in Compton in the 70s and the 80s is not uncommon with cities that experience a lot of disinvestment very quickly. It's actually extremely common, and Compton isn't even the worst example of what can happen to a city when all of a sudden all of the support and tax money leaves it. But like those cities, Compton did go through a period of time where things were rough, where there was gang violence, where there was high crime, and where people were really just disillusioned because there wasn't anyone there helping them with anything, really.
In subsequent years, the Compton community persevered and worked to bring positive change. Organizations like Compton Junior Equestrian and Compton Cowboys provide meaningful spaces for Compton youth to gather and develop leadership skills. Both organizations are a reminder of the early agricultural history and ordinances of Compton that allowed and still allow residents to keep horses in parts of the city. Pauline, Charles Brown, and Tony Hicks, members of the Compton 125 Historical Society, tell us how they work to preserve Compton's history.
We are a private, nonprofit organization that was developed because of the multi-dynamic, multicultural that we have in this wonderful city. And we was concerned about preserving its history for our future generations.
You know, Compton is a beautiful mosaic made up of Asians, Pacific Islanders, African American, many different Latinos, right, that are in the city, and it's really a beautiful mosaic when you come to the city of Compton. Fun place to come in.
And so one of my desires is to have the youth in Compton to learn their history while they're in school. In fact, they should learn the names of the schools that they attend and why those names are so important and where they come from.
Be concerned about where you came from. Be concerned about preserving the history of your community. It can be through buildings, it can be through landmarks, it can be through the people who grew up in the wonderful city in which you live in.
Before we leave, let's take a step inside AQ Menswear, a legacy business started by a Korean immigrant family in the 1980s. Judy, the daughter of the original owners, now manages the store. She describes what makes the store special.
1990, we had riots. We had everything in Compton, and we made it through. Because I think people over here, my neighbors, they consider us as a family. So that's how we made it, all the problems, all the bad things, good things. They support me and they watch over for me. So I have business in Compton. People said, aren't you like scared over there? But I feel more safer here than any place. This is my home. I really thank you for the community. And all the supporters, they start with them, their kids, and they bring their grandkids. Still, we're trying to do our best together.
Today, places like Patria Coffee and Planet Help continue to build community. Through all the challenges and changes Compton has faced, what has always remained is the resiliency of the people who have called and still call Compton their home. What will you explore when you visit Compton?